Okay, so this is Letitia Miller recording on August 3rd, 2016 for the forthcoming Curriculum Specialist. This particular little video is going to be about what is known commonly as the course outline of record, or sometimes referred to informally or by the state agencies as the CORE, the COR. The core historically has been sort of the cornerstone of curriculum. The course outline of record is understood to be the college's contract with the public. So when we think of courses that are offered at the college, think about it. We have a class we call English 50. We have a description for it in the catalog. But where do we actually understand what happens in that course? The course outline of record as a document is the document that organizes what is supposed to be happening in that course, and it is really sort of how we all come to a common understanding of how what is taught in that course, what students should be able to do as a result of completing that course, what the catalog description is, how many units the course is offered for, and how those units are distributed in different teaching modalities. Things like textbooks, things like evidence of critical thinking. So let's go ahead and open one up. The course outline of record is generated through the course development module of our Curricunet system. So I'm going to navigate to the build menu in courses. And I'm going to go to biology as a discipline, and I'm going to look to see, okay, here's find an active course. Important distinction when you're working with curriculum is to understand these little icons. I'm a big person who's into design, and I have many opinions about Curricunet that are probably not so savory, but I wanted to give you some cues. Here's your little legend. In general, when you see the pencil icon in Curricunet, it means you click on the pencil to be able to go in and edit it. To delete a record, use the scissors. I have never, ever, except for maybe 2 or 3 times in my career, used the delete or scissors option. However, when we go in, so let's look at the pencil. So we went in a previous video, we saw that you go in and you can access all these fields to edit information on the course, right? But when we go back to the courses, where were we here? Biology 2. When we hover over the WR stands for Word Report. It's the silliest little icon ever, but it shows you the reports that can be generated from the information that has been put in through the pencil icon. In my assessment, we do not have enough reports yet because we have a lot more information that's input into Curricunet in a course record as opposed to that which is taken out. But we do have some that really help us get some critical functions done. So the one document we're talking about is the course outline of record, which in the Word report list is called the course outline. So we'll click on that. Now you'll note we call it the course outline. At the state, it's called the course outline of record. That name can be traced back to State Academic Senate white papers on the function of the document. And I believe calling it the course outline of record is to indicate that this is the official document for this course in terms of the institution. So it's how the institution is holding itself accountable to the course outline of record. So when we pull together this course outline of record, the institution of Columbia College is basically indicating to the public that this is what this course is. So on the course outline of record, there's an enormous amount of information. This is the tool through which faculty look at their colleagues' work. It is also the document that is supposed to be given to all new faculty and existing faculty who are teaching a course. So any instructor of Biology 2 should be given a copy of this, whether they're a full-timer or they're an adjunct. Biology 2, Cell and Molecular Biology, includes the title, the discipline, the number, as well as the units, and the text course description, and for the purpose of the catalog or for DataTel. Now, in my strong belief, this is not the entire description that students need to see, but please be aware that when we say catalog description, we either are referring to this descriptor, this written descriptor, versus the entire catalog description that you'll see in the college catalog, and we can hopefully cover that later. Also offered as tells you if it's offered in any other disciplines. So say, for example, this might be also offered in a math course. So you can have a single course outline that is delivered in multiple disciplines. The field approved disciplines tells you which disciplines are identified as being associated with this class. This question is important because it informs which qualifications a faculty member must have to teach this. So what this crosswalks to is the state minimum qualifications for faculty and administrators in California community colleges. This information tells me if I was a dean trying to schedule an adjunct for the class that I would need to go check the minimum quals document to see if a candidate meets the qualifications to teach in biological science. It's sort of a quality assurance for our teaching faculty. It also lists requisites. Now we often think of prerequisites, but requisites is an umbrella term for anything like a prerequisite, which is a must-take course before they enroll in the course, or a co-requisite, they must take this at the same time, or before, depending on how the logic breaks down in the co-requisite, or an advisory, which we tend to refer colloquially as a recommended for success, meaning an advisory is what we tell students, hey, you may want to take this class to have a better chance at success prior to enrolling in this class. This gives you the grading policy for the class. So can students get an A through F, or can they take it on a pass, no pass basis? There are a few options. Students may take it just for a letter grade or only for pass, no pass, or they have the option to choose between. And that is handled through the admissions process. But your role will be responsible for programming the grading policy for the class. The repeatability. So there's the issue of whether a class can be taken for repeat. It's defined right here. The field trips, not required. This is the unit value of the course, and this is the weekly lecture hours and the weekly lab and activity hours and the total contact hours. Student learning outcomes, this is a new feature on our course outline. Eventually we will see the student learning outcomes for the course, meaning what are the broad learning outcomes that a successful student can anticipate. Broad sets of skills, abilities, job readiness, etc. That's facilitated through the Outcomes Assessment Work Group, but Curricunet is the central repository for that information. Here we get into the course objectives. The course objectives are statements that indicate what a student should be able to do, and they're more discrete, meaning there are more of those than there should be of student learning outcomes. And they start with actionable verbs. The Bloom's taxonomy is a resource for faculty who are developing course objectives, but it ensures that for the level of rigor of the course that the students, depending on the action verb that is chosen to make the statement, it indicates the level of sort of intellectual investment that's required to be able to master that skill. Just to describe something or to interpret something is much more sophisticated than reciting something. And so the Bloom's taxonomy is very fascinating in that way. And though the course objectives and the course content are very important because they help inform partnering institutions like CSU and UC as to whether or not they should articulate this course with their curriculum. And we will hopefully get into articulation in a later video. And then you also have objectives for the lab. So if it's a lab context, as opposed to sitting in a classroom or passive learning, what might a student be learning in the laboratory, which is considered to be a more hands-on context? If there are lab hours indicated on the course outline, there should be laboratory objectives. Now, I'm going to interrupt myself and assure you that your job is not to do so much quality control on these facets of the course outline. This is the lion's share of what the curriculum committee is looking at, is invested in, and is passionate about, is reviewing this to ensure that, for example, if we're trying to make a baccalaureate degree course, a level course, that the content and objectives are rigorous enough. I'm going to pause myself and move on to section 2 of the course outline.